Hey, this is Elijah. If you're listening to this episode shortly after it's released, then this might make sense. If this is your first episode you've tuned into, then this means nothing. Or if you're listening to this way after it's released in the future, then this absolutely makes no sense. However, this episode was originally planned to be released on January 15th, 2025, and was recorded on April 23rd, 2025. But due to various life circumstances between myself and Rex, things got backlogged, and releases were delayed indefinitely. Now we are back on track and happy to finally release this episode. While us, the hosts, will discuss the current, as of the recording, updates in our lives and what tokusatsu we've watched, the news segments have been removed entirely. So the episode will be slightly different. If you'd like to see the edited out content, leave us a message and we'll look into how to tackle that. But in the meantime, we hope you enjoy these episodes now available for everyone to listen to.
Atomic gigantification was a sweeping Japan nation when along came a dude with an ultra attitude, a Kamen rider who's the greatest kicker of Japan. And of all, man, life's too short now, baby, to not talk big now, baby.
Broadcasting across the globe from Two Guys' Room, it's Kaiju Conversation. I'm your host, Elijah, and joining me, as always, my lovely co-host and editor.
Hello, I am Rex.
And Rex, we are on episode 117.
Why does that number keep getting bigger?
I know, I didn't realize, before this, the last episode, Viras, I wasn't, it didn't click with me, right? But when I was typing in all the info for this episode to get us this recording room and whatnot, I was like, oh my God, 117? That's wild.
See, I think the reason it didn't click with you last time is because we kept delaying that episode.
Maybe. That's I was probably just so ready to go. Oh, that's right, because I'm pretty sure I created the room a week prior.
2 days prior or something.
Yeah. And that makes sense. You're probably right. So, how have you been? We haven't talked since the last recording, really.
I suppose so. For once you don't lie. Yeah, I've been pretty good for the most part. I did accidentally hit myself in the eye at work, as I mentioned to you before. That was not fun. That kind of screwed my day over today and yesterday. Wasn't even sure if I'd be able to watch the movie for today's episode, because up until a couple hours ago, I literally could not stand to look at anything that emitted blue light. My vision is still in my left eye a tad blurry.
Was it because you were messing with somebody's balls?
No.
Do you still work with balls?
Yes. This was when I was going to clean balls, yes.
Do you wear safety glasses? Are you supposed to wear safety glasses?
Sometimes yes, but not in this particular circumstance, no.
Will you wear safety glasses from now on? And this is the mind of a man.
Bro, the thing that hit me in the eye was a cord. I was untangling a cord, and I just forced it a little too much, and it flicked, and the end of it flicked into my eye. That's what happened. And I had to finish the workday with that. It kind of was, but honestly, the first few minutes were awful, but after a while, after a few minutes, it wasn't too bad. But then as the day went along, it kind of just got a bit worse and worse gradually.
Yeah, as it got more irritated, that makes sense. But besides the whole eye situation, anything else? Anything exciting going on in your life?
Not too much. I'm helping with a short film, with a small short film, tomorrow. But other than that, not a lot. I mean, it's only been a few days since the last recording we did, anyways. So, how about yourself?
Uh, honest, laundry, laundry work. I bought some Super Sentai releases.
Oh, nice, nice.
So did I talk about that last time?
I don't think so. I don't think you'd bought them.
So Shout Factory recently had I guess it was just like a major online sale, and they had their Super Sentai stuff on also included in this. And my whole thing about the Super Sentai releases is their DVD, they're 10 years old, and it's not in HD. I'm not paying $50 per release when there's 13 of them. I'm not paying $500 for this stuff. So I hold off until I find it on sale.
Yeah.
And so for this sale, I was like, okay, anything under $30, I'll grab. And so I was able to grab 5-Man, Aber Ranger, and Decker Ranger. So those are the most recent releases, which is awesome. 5-Man is the earliest Sentai show they've released, which is great. And Aber Ranger and Decker Ranger are the two newest seasons they've released. So that was really cool. Like I knocked out the like outlier stuff. I still have to get Go Ranger and Hurricaneger. But considering that out of all of the Super Sentai and Power Ranger releases from Shout, I'm just down to those two, I'm feeling pretty good about myself.
Yeah. Number one Sentai fan here. Seen them all.
And then outside of that, just trying to survive. I got word that I might be working on some new titles. It's still very much out. There's still meetings to be done, contracts to be made, payments to be made, and materials to be sent over before I can even remotely start doing anything like that. But it's exciting to hear that I might get, it's always great. I can't really talk about it, but it's not SRS related. So not only am I doing more work with SRS Cinema, but I'm also potentially working with another label on similar things, but I'm doing my best to keep them still separate. So Rex, are you ready to transition into the next segment?
Sure.
What tokusatsu have you watched, Rex?
Well, frankly, since our last recording, not very much. I will bring up that I actually forgot to mention last time that I had watched the show Shibuya 15.
Mm-hmm.
Do you even know what that is?
I don't.
Okay, it's a midnight tokusatsu drama that was directed by Ryuta Tasaki and has quite a few like Kamen Rider alumni in it. Like some main actors from Faiz and Blade and or Ryuki and whatnot. It's kind of like it's kind of Matrix inspired. It's very Matrix inspired, in fact, except it focuses on like a group of like delinquent kids. I really liked it, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. Highly recommend that this little kind of obscure tokusatsu show. Check it out. Even if the last scene left me kind of kerfuffled. But no, it's good, and there's a fun henshin hero in it.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So outside of that, have you seen any other tokusatsu?
The closest thing to it that I can think of is I've been watching Pat Labor Early Days, which has a Godzilla episode, a Godzilla tribute episode with like a Dr. Serizawa character.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched the first Zatoichi film finally.
That's good. I really enjoy it. It's not the best one by any means, but it's definitely I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot.
I really liked it. I had a great time with it.
That's good to hear.
Very excited to watch the second one when I get a chance to. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me as far as I can remember. How about yourself? Have you watched anything?
I have, actually.
Oh my God.
I watched the 1959 Daiei film, The Ghost of Yotsuya. Now, for anybody who is a Ghost of Yotsuya person, I did already specify Daiei, but there was also another film in 1959 titled The Ghost of Yotsuya from Shintoho, directed by Nobuo Nakagawa. Not that title. This is the other one. I don't remember the director's name, but it was pretty good. It's a Jidaigeki film, Edo period Japan, following the story of Oewa and Tsuya and all that. It was pretty good. Once they actually got to the horror stuff, it was actually really cool. Like, it's like definitely like pre-J horror vibes through and through. You can see the influences of Oewa's tale. And what's really cool is Toei did a film in 1961 called The Tale of Oewa's Ghost, and that's getting released here in a couple months. So I'm excited to check out that adaptation. But I'm gonna try and watch at least one Daiei title or one Tokusatsu title, at least one before every recording, so I at least have something I can bring up.
Man's got to force himself to watch movies.
It's hard. Like it's
hardest
really hard.
Part of the week.
I have so much going on. I'm trying to get back into that, but I also have other things I need to do. Well, it doesn't sound like we watched any Kaiju or Tokusatsu stuff. So, what are we doing here?
I don't know. We're just having a little jolly old chat, I guess.
I see. Well, we're going to have to come up with something because this episode can't be 47 minutes long.
Right. Why not?
Because I said so.
Rude.
I know.
It wasn't funny until you started laughing. That's so dumb. So you didn't watch any So you didn't watch anything outside of Ghost of Yotsuya?
I can remember.
I can't cover Ghost of Yotsuya. The only experience I have with that is like one of the Koasugi movies.
Oh, do they cover Ghost of Yotsuya in one of those?
One of them, yes.
Oh, that's cool. I know they also. I'm pretty sure they cover Kappa, or that was like the second series that.
It's the third movie. That's the Kappa. There's Kokuri-san, Hanako the Toilet, if you know that one.
I love Hanako the Toilet. That's such a fun story.
Yeah, the first movie is Kuchisake Onna.
Mm-hmm. I knew that one. Which, that's Slipmouth Woman for anybody who doesn't know.
Yeah, and... God, I'm trying to remember what the other ones are.
Kappa's number 4, I'm pretty sure.
No, 3. Kappa's 3, Hanako's 4. What is the second one?
Is that one the Oewa?
It's like Shivering Ghost or something. I don't even know if... I'm sure it is based on like an actual legend. I'm just not actually familiar with that legend.
I'm pretty sure it is Shivering Ghost because I think I do know of that one.
Yeah, it definitely is because I remember what happens in that movie, but
isn't
I'm just
there?
not familiar with that legend.
Isn't there one that's about the Ju-on kid, Toshio, or is that a different movie altogether?
I have no clue what you're talking about.
There's one that he directed that has Shimizu in it, and they're checking up on a reported Toshio sighting, and it turns out to not be Toshio.
Wait, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
I want to know what that is.
Yeah.
Because that's not Koasugi. Shiraishi does play a character in the Koasugi movies, but that ain't Koasugi.
Well, look into it.
Snake Woman is the other one. Is one of the other ones.
Oh,
it's like the second last one. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we're getting off topic. So, what are we going to do here?
We could cover Koasugi. You should watch those. I love them.
I don't have time to watch a Koasugi movie. We're recording now, Rex.
70 minutes.
Rex, we're recording now. I don't have 70 minutes.
Lazy.
It is 5 a.m. I don't want to hear it.
Well, too bad. You just heard it.
Beat you up.
Through the screen? Go ahead.
No, when you get here.
The way you said that was so sad. There was like
Okay,
a
what are we
slight
doing?
uncertainty and defeat in your voice.
What are we doing? I need to know. I've forgotten what we're doing.
Well, I did watch a little movie on Tubi.
Or not to be.
Never make that joke again.
That is the question.
Shut up. Stop talking. Go away.
Well, then figure out what you want.
I saw a little movie on Tubi that pretty unknown. It's called The Space Fighter. Have you heard of it by any chance?
Yes, actually. Now, okay. Typically, we jump into this, but this is a little different for us, right?
Mm.
It's an American film. It is an American film. It's a newer film. It is inspired, and we'll get into all that. But the whole reason we're covering this is because the director reached out to us and asked us to watch his movie and to review it for the show. And I happily obliged, and we are throwing it in here. And so, boy, before we really get into what little information there really is, full disclaimer, Matthew, if you are listening to this, please let me and Rex, or just me, I don't know, we'd have to figure out timing, please come on the show. Let's talk about this movie. I want to know the facts behind this film. I want to know the production information, because I think there's definitely something to be learned about, to be appreciated more than what I found out. And so that's, before we say anything or give any input or opinions, I want to throw that out there, that no matter what we think of this, I want to have you on. I want to talk about this movie. I want to learn the process behind it and what was going through your head when making it.
Yeah. Hey, all these movies need their spotlight, and there's unfortunately not a lot on this online that I could really find.
I found a little bit. I guess we can go ahead and dive into the facts that we do have.
Sure.
So,
I mean, you go first.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna start us off with that. This isn't so. Matthew and also his brother Michael have done various films, or mostly short films together, that have seemingly been Toku inspired, such as Cyberman Jacques, I think is the first one from about 2020.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And Fatal Strike and Dealing Death seem potentially Toku inspired. I couldn't tell for certain, but Cyberman Jack, definitely.
From what I saw, I agree on Cyberman Jack, but the biggest thing is you can clearly tell they're interested in kung fu / action films from Asian countries. That I think is the biggest obvious influence outside of Tokusatsu is martial arts films.
I would say anime as well.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I got it, like, obviously the film we're covering today, The Space Fighter, has a lot of Tokusatsu influences, and a lot of specifically coming from Kamen Rider. But some of the Kamen Rider elements almost felt like they were a mix of how they appear in Kamen Rider, but also certain anime, like Cutie Honey and The Guyver.
That's fair.
So there's that as well.
The film came out March 31st of 2022, exclusively on Tubi. I think it is available on one other streaming service, but that's it. Those are your two options. The trailers are on Daily Motion. So that's, it's a semi-recent movie. It actually just had its 3-year anniversary not too long ago. And it had a budget. Now, IMDb's budgets are typically way off on these indie productions, but it set an estimate of $1,500. I really doubt that that's the budget for this. So I'm going to put a huge, probably not true on that. It's important to note, however, I think I figured out a little bit of the timeline for this film. And I'm going to bring this up after we talk about the film so I can really hammer home where this film means something. But this film, actually, I'll just leave that for the end. I'm going to leave that for the end.
Okay.
Matthew did tell us specifically that this was inspired by, quote, classic Toku heroes, end quote. And I do think that is very obvious throughout the entirety of the film. It was shot in Chicago, Illinois. So I'm curious if Matthew's ever been to G-Fest.
I swear, there's a location in this that looks like one of those hotels around like the G-Fest area.
I was wondering that. I doubt it is, but I definitely noticed that myself. So you're not alone in that. Now, there is something really weird, and do you have it before I bring this up? Do you have any other information, news?
The only other thing is what I think you might be about to mention.
What do you got?
Is it around like the credited names for Michael and Matthew?
No, I figured we would do that at the end as well.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha.
During the cast and crew segment.
Okay, then I'm not sure what you've got actually then. I'm not sure.
So the film we watched on Tubi is 61 minutes long. That is how long it is on Tubi. That's how it's credited in some places. Others, like on Letterboxd, have reviews that say the film is a brisk 50 minutes. There are a ton of sources that say 50 minutes.
Yeah.
And I can't help but wonder if that means what we got. So I'm going to bring up Zillafoot a couple times here, but Zillafoot's an extended version of a different movie. I can't help but wonder if what we're watching is a extended special edition that overtook the original one. And I believe that's because of the opening.
I was just about to say, I think if there's anywhere in the film that seems like it would be part of this extended version, it's the opening sequence.
And so if you're ready, Rex, I want to go ahead and dive right into this and start talking about this film.
Sure.
We do open up with some credits, and the credits are I appreciate that this person went to school for graphic design, but I am a little shocked by the graphics in this. All of the credits and all of the time and location captions are abysmal with their graphic design work. They all have like drop shadows. They all are like brightly colored. It's interesting font choices. Yeah, it's an idea. And we also have an interesting decision with the music.
I mean, the thing with the music is it's all stock music.
Yes. Along with everything we're seeing here.
Yeah. I realized that immediately when I saw some stock footage that I've used for assignments.
Yeah, I've definitely used this stuff too. I was like, oh, I know that. Oh, I know that. Oh, I know
like that DNA untangling and like corrupting. I'm like, yeah, I've used that.
I've used the like computer screens. I actually licensed that. I think that's through the Adobe. That's something, and I've definitely licensed.
Most of a good chunk of these are through Pexels, I know, but some of them might be Adobe. Yeah.
And this segues into the title sequence. And there's also occasionally like YouTube green screen effect, fire or lightning effects.
Yeah, or explosions.
Yeah. And then we open with the night sky in really crisp and clear footage. And then we also get more clarification that we are at the Colorado airspace in June of 1970.
Yeah, and we follow stock footage of a pilot that's composited over this as he flies through the sky and has a encounter with a UFO.
Now, throughout all of this, it's intercut with footage of... Now, by the way, this pilot and all the stock footage, like at one point we see they have iPads. This is not the 70s. It is very much not the 70s.
I mean, it's stock footage. Yeah.
And I was curious, so we first get introduced to like a military base, and then it's intercut with the pilot, and then it just cuts back and they're like, we'll alert the Pentagon. And this is all stock footage, like all licensed, and this is all narrating. And Matthew is also has went to school for voice acting. So the odds of him being the one who's handling all of this voiceover work is extraordinarily high.
Yeah. I will say, speaking of voice and dialogue, that is another thing that I noticed, and that you notice pretty quickly. Obviously, it's obvious in this scene with all the stock footage, but throughout the entire film as well, the dialogue is entirely ADR. There is not a lick of on-set dialogue in the entire film.
Yeah. No, it's a little distracting, to be honest.
I think the issue for me is more the sound mixing and less the fact that it's ADR.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about sound mixing.
Because it's very inconsistent, and like in this scene, in this opening scene in particular with the jet pilot, I genuinely I could barely hear what he was saying for a good chunk of it. Other characters, I think they're generally fine, but this pilot in particular in this scene was very quiet, very, very quiet. Not helped by the fact that because of like the fact that it's a jet, the effects on it makes it a little more difficult to understand.
You know what's more difficult to understand though?
What?
The montage of licensed military men afterwards.
Well, they're going on some sort of mission to intercept the UFO or something, or the crash site of the jet. The jet that we're following crash lands, and then the spaceship. The military all go to attack the spaceship, I guess. And spoiler alert. So after this, we cut to 50 years later. So the film takes place in 2020. This opening sequence has zero impact on the rest of the film. Right.
None of these characters show back up. It's never referenced again. It doesn't impact the plot at all. It's about 5 minutes worth of footage that doesn't even need to be there. And that's one of my reasons.
It's entirely stock footage with like just some edited effects over it.
And that's why I think that especially is a part of the additional time to the I bet it was 51 minutes. And people are, no, I bet it was 50 minutes because everything's saying 51 minutes outside of the stuff that says 61 or 60. So I definitely believe that this first 5 minutes is padding. Maybe you could take out a minute for the title sequence, sure, but that's still 4 minutes. You know, we still have 5 minutes worth of padding we could probably locate, and I think the next
You know where else you could locate it? Probably the climax as well.
probably. But I also, so after we have this whole opening sequence and we cut to 50 years later, which by the way, we don't get a location at all. It just says 50 years later. So this is supposed to be in Colorado, I guess, still. But like you see signs and everything that shows Chicago. So that's a little inconsistency. But we are introduced 50 years later to a infomercial, also full of stock footage and poorly sound mixed narration. And can I just say that this reminds me a lot of a Kawasaki film, even though in the Kawasaki film it's in the middle of the movie, not the very beginning. We get like we get introduced to BioCorp.
Yeah. Not Shocker, not
Dark.
Whatever the Zoanoid faction in Guyver is called.
I thought of Dark, which is Kikaider.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's all same archetype, generally.
Right. So
I just want to reference BioCorp specifically because it's specifically more of a business in Guyver.
So it's important to note that the infomercial is another minute long. So at that point, you do have 5 minutes worth. So now you're 4 minutes away from having all of the time that we've talked about, like, found and addressed. So my theory is...
I feel like the BioCorp intro would have been in the original. That doesn't feel like something that necessarily... I mean, maybe you could cut it, but it does generally establish what the corporation is and that they're evil.
I guess so. It's very much an exposition dump.
Yeah.
I do wonder if some of that's influenced by Godzilla vs. Kong.
I definitely thought of Apex.
Yeah. And also just like so as the infomercial continues on, there's more like glitches in the infomercial until it fades out into the actual narrative of the film. But I definitely was like getting Godzilla vs. Kong like opening title sequence vibes with the whole like glitching effect and whatnot.
I mean,
So
also the
that's something-
Godzilla vs. Kong one does use like stock footage for that Apex intro, so
Right. So I was wondering that, it did come out around the same time. So maybe not, It just reminds me a lot of it. It doesn't necessarily mean it was drawing influence from that by any means.
yeah. But no, from here we finally leave stock footage realm where we're introduced to Professor Saruga.
And he's just pulling data or something off of his computer, and he's putting it on a disk and throwing it in a suitcase.
Yeah, as he quietly tries to exit the BioCorp building without anyone noticing.
Which they use this building a lot. Or no, I guess it is all in BioCorp, but it annoys me because you can see a financing business logo like in the background. It's like, okay, so this is it takes me out. It takes me out. It's a like they can't do anything about it, but it's definitely funny.
Yeah. Low budget movie. I can forgive things like that. I can live with that. At this point, I'm kind of glad there's just new footage and not stock footage.
Right. Now, one thing you'll note pretty quickly here is between inside a BioCorp and outside as our character leaves the building, there's zero color correction, color grading anything on any of this footage. It is raw from the camera, probably a phone. I don't know if that bugged you, but like throughout the film, like it's very inconsistent due to the lighting and like the white balances. And so like it's not it looks very blah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't disagree there. Yeah, I can't disagree there. I don't really have a lot to say on it other than
Yeah, it annoyed me.
Yeah, as Professor Saruga tries to escape, he is confronted by two men who, between shots, suddenly have masks on.
And they're supposed to be like
Shocker-like.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is they're supposed to be like the Shocker minions with like the masks.
Right. Although it almost, in certain scenes, it almost reminded me more of like the Panther Claw from. Do you remember them in Cutie Honey?
Yes.
Yeah, especially like in the middle where there's the one who's dressed in all black and has like the hat on.
Yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the original Kamen Rider, just as in Shin Kamen Rider, the professor who creates Kamen Rider dies, right?
Yes.
And we get that here. This masked vigilante shoots our professor and talks awkwardly to him while the camera. So another thing about this film that kind of drives me nuts is this is all handheld, obviously, but like they couldn't get a tripod. I don't know why. That's kind of annoying because they don't even put a warp. So I did find out this film was edited in Adobe because the person probably was using a Mac at the time, the director, who also acted as the editor. So it was, they used Premiere Pro, but they didn't apply warp stabilizer. And for anybody who doesn't know, warp stabilizer is an effect you can do in Adobe that automatically corrects your shaky footage to the best of its ability. Sometimes it like leaves crazy like artifacts on your footage, but a lot of times it makes the footage look, nice and clean and crisp and smooth. They don't do that here. It's very much just sitting there and the camera's just kind of wobbly. And stuff like that annoys me just because I know how easy it would be to fix that.
Right. But hey, Ken Ryder and his brother, whose name we don't learn until like the very end.
Vic or Victor.
Yeah. They show up
in the nick of time and they run over to help our professor as he's been shot and bleeding out, I guess. Yeah. And I will say, for an indie production, the action isn't crazy, but like the physical action here throughout it's not too bad for like a budget movie. I agree. It's very obvious that prior to this, they had worked on an action film before. Yes. Yeah, definitely. And that is definitely also a welcomed surprise. Sometimes it does feel like there's like a couple kicks where it feels like they aren't entirely confident in the kick, but generally the action does look pretty good otherwise, I'd say, when it's physical. When it gets more VFX heavy, not really a fan of that. But when it's all physical, it's pretty solid. And it's probably one of the strongest aspects of the film, in all honesty. I agree. I wholeheartedly do agree with you. And I think to that point as well, and we'll get to it here in this first fight that we're about to see, I think some of the editing decisions for the fights is actually really clever. I think it helps not only kind of homage what it's trying to call back to, but it also just adds and makes it look better. And I do appreciate that about the film. I think that's, like you said, it's one of the strongest like aspects of this movie. And I definitely like if you are interested in action, I think this is a good example of an indie production that is confident, at least, that they're doing something right.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, in action, confidence is a big thing too. And
absolutely,
generally I would say they are pretty confident in their abilities. It's just every, like, there's like 2 moments where there's a couple kicks where they're a little less confident. But even then, that kind of goes to show how generally confident they are in the rest of the action. So,
right.
Good work, guys, honestly.
Now, our two main characters are twin brothers. That should be established as well. Ken and Vic.
Yes.
Did you take Ken Rider as a nod to Kamen Rider? Just so I can...
Of course.
Okay, good. I'm happy.
I mean, the way he's dressed, looks so much like Kotaro. It looks like it's inspired by Kotaro from Kamen Rider Black.
See, I haven't seen Kamen Rider Black, so that's an actually interesting notion.
It's not like 1-to-1. It's just the general style of the outfit and color-wise. I know it's meant to be like a red and blue contrast, but generally it kind of reminded me of Kotaro from Black.
Well, that's interesting. So they take our professor into a storage warehouse facility, I guess.
Yeah.
Probably the college they went to.
Probably.
And like as soon as they set him down, they hear a noise. Like it's just immediately noise. And Vic goes out to look and see what's going on.
Ken goes to check. Vic is in red.
Okay, yeah, sorry. And
Ken is in blue.
we do get intercut with some like first person POVs of whatever's in the warehouse, which I do like that. That screams indie production, and they do a decent job at the whole aspect of that. I definitely have seen films. I think the one I can think of is called The Galaxy Invader. It was an indie film from the 80s, and it definitely had scenes that looked a lot like this. So another like good job, like props to you. This worked. And then we get the reveal that this is a Wolfman.
Yeah.
Very much in the style, like he's got a suit on. It's very much in the style of like a Kamen Rider show, and like the big boisterous motions also just screams stuff like that to me. It's very, I enjoy seeing stuff like that. This is a good, what I do like is they're not clearly making it Kamen Rider, but anybody who has seen Kamen Rider sees it.
Yeah, of course.
And so I think that's the perfect way to do a homage and do it right. And I do think that that's another great aspect of this film, is just the fact that they are, for the most part, I think towards the end they get a little too fan servicey, but it's for the most part a very like just straight up homage than a fan service or a fan film. And I do like that. I do.
Yeah. And again, this is where the film is still keeping the action mostly physical rather than VFX heavy. And so generally it's kind of fun. Don't mind it.
We learn about the transformation device that the professor has, and he gives it to Ken, right? No.
Vic, yeah.
Vic, yeah. Okay. And so we get the introduction to all of that with more stock footage, a really low res piece of stock footage for the
space fighter.
The space fighter that transforms the person, which is an interesting way to do it. That's unique.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, there is a transformation device, and it 110% is a bottle cap with LED red lights duct taped to a small belt.
It's a low budget production. I'm fine with it.
And then is this where we get the phrase drop?
Well, where it's like where he says henshin.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we get the term henshin a lot in this film, which it's funny at first. I definitely chuckled, but towards the end, it definitely gets really annoying. And it's like, stop saying henshin. Stop. Please stop. I found myself getting really annoyed by it.
I didn't mind it too much, but I did get a chuckle at one line where the main character, Vic, he's like, eat shit, henshin.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of the writing in this film is very much like the tongue-in-cheek, like, oh, I'm being clever, please laugh kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't know how to take that. It's okay. I find it a little annoying. But this isn't an Oscar-winning film by any means. And I think anybody who's watching will understand that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But Vic goes to battle with the devilish Wolfman. Yeah, it's not too bad. He pulls out a sword as Wolfman reveals his flame powers and strikes him down with his laser blade.
I do think it's funny that like the creatures do get this like wild like moments where they just suddenly have powers like that.
I mean, is that really any different from like the monsters of Ultraman or Kamen Rider?
I think it's funny. I don't think that's a bad thing, but I think it's funny. And I also think it's really funny. So our space fighter once he henshins, he's in leather and he has a red scarf, which is just like Kamen Rider, which is really funny. And then he's also wearing like a motorcycle helmet, which is another subtle nod. But I love how he like uses the sword and like his big motions with that. I do think that's really clever and just a really fun little nod. At some points, I do believe that this film looks like a low-budget Kamen Rider show, and I think that's really, really clever.
Yeah. I also really like with the laser blade. While the VFX aren't great, I love the idea of like the flames, how they appear on like the Wolfman, like the actual slash marks appear on the Wolfman when he uses that. That is taken like very directly inspired by like modern sort of Kamen Rider and probably Sentai 2 and Ultraman, I guess. And I don't know, I always love those kind of details.
I didn't even notice that. And, another thing that the movie does that's very much like Tokusatsu inspired is the fact that the villains explode. I love stuff like that. That's honest, like that's another one of those wins for me is like, oh, you did explosions. That's funny. I love that.
Yeah. Following this, Vic and Ken meet back up with this professor.
He dies.
R.I.P., bro.
He doesn't turn into bubble bath soap.
Sad days.
Yeah. And then we cut to the alien. Biocorp. It's Biocorp.
Yeah.
Now, we do
I guess calling him the alien isn't wrong.
Yeah. We do get this really cool thing where, like, the leader is staring off into the darkness and we see, like, the reflection in the mirror. I think that's the framing's not right. It's not lined up perfectly, but it's creative. And I do appreciate that. I think that's one of the good things about the movie, is that those creative liberties it does take.
Yeah. Yeah, the leader finds out that the scientist, although he's dead, has the unit, as they call it, the henshin device, is in the hands of Ken and his brother, although I don't think he knows the name at this point.
Right. Which this is where I really started to notice the horrible sound mixing, because like it's really hard to understand everything that's being said here, and it's very obvious that things aren't lined up. This is also the point of where I noticed that the color correction was really bad, because everything's tan here because they didn't do the white balancing for this like wherever they're at, wherever they're filming. Also, the time jump is a little obnoxious. The fact they're at night and we were just during the day. But I think that's being a little nitpicky.
Time jumps are fine. It's fine.
And then we cut to being in the police department where our main character is being questioned by a snotty chief of police.
Yeah. Meanwhile, one of the Biocorp execs we learn is in cahoots with the police as well.
Mm-hmm. We also get told that they're cyborgs they're creating, which is also like a callback to like Kamen Rider and whatnot, like the Shinomori productions.
Yeah.
I definitely noticed that. Now, some of the music choices and like the look of this film, did you get the vibe of like Godzilla Final Wars in like the mid to early 2000s looks?
No,
that was just me.
No, the music just gave me like first couple results of like stock music that you could find for like the mood that he was looking for.
I see.
That's how I kind of saw it.
That's fair. So our main character leaves the police station. He's not under arrest, and he finds a reporter waiting outside for him. How he met this reporter, we don't really know. Why?
Well, the reporter's just waiting outside, looking to question the character, because the reporter knew about Saruga, which we learn later, but and probably knows that Saruga's been murdered and that the police are questioning a suspect.
That's fair. So after he kind of just blows off the reporter, and then we see back at the writer's home.
Yeah.
The other one's watching footage of the disc on a old CRTV.
Mm.
They use the Jurassic Park font at one point.
I think I did notice that.
Yeah, stuff like that. Like it's the obvious, like they're just pulling whatever they can to make it. And on one hand, it's obnoxious, but on the other, it's like, okay, I get it. That's all you really had. That's okay.
Yeah. I mean, having a writer base in this is fun. Like, it's a bit empty, but I like having it here. I do think that just the Chicago map in the background is very funny.
It's really funny.
Maybe not intentionally, but I think it's funny. But it gets the vibe across no matter what. Like, say what you will about the execution, but the vibe, it's very clearly getting across what it's trying to express.
Right.
It's a very ambitious film. Ambitious far beyond what its budget really allows.
Mm-hmm.
But goddamn, there is no compromises here. For better or worse, there are no compromises.
Right. So we are also, like, right after this, we're introduced to the entire reason for the villains, and that's they need the... So it is pre-established that I think we failed to cover this. So the professor has the henshin device, but there's also the passcode that they need. And to have the passcode, they have to have the disc, and the disc they don't have, so they have to have Ken. And so they are going to kidnap Ken, get the passcode, and take the henshin device back so that they can have control of their weapon again.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much our creation is loose and now is fighting us cliche that you see in Kikaider and Kamen Rider and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. As we learn this, we cut back to the villains who are discussing all this aspect of the space fighter and its connection to the henshin device, and the boss ends up sending the police. What do you call it? What's the word for it?
The chief?
Or spy. No. The other guy. What's the word for someone who's... Oh, I'm blanking on the word here. Whatever. The guy who's... The police guy that's secretly working for the for biotech, sends him off to go confront Ken and his brother, who the police, or at least this guy, seemingly don't even know exist at this point.
Yeah. Also, the reporter shows up.
Yeah.
And the reporter's at the brother's base / apartment. Pretty sure it's just his apartment.
Yeah, I guess it would be, yeah.
And that's where the police show up, and then he questions all of them. They all give him nothing, and he's like, "You're coming with me." And by the way, the camera angles, the acting, and the line delivery here is horrendous. It is so hard to sit through this scene. Also, just the color grading. Again, the color grading, it's all like beige, green, and tan.
Yeah.
At some
point,
it's
also fun that the police guy, he holds him at gunpoint, right? But he's got his back to he's got his back to one of the Ryder twins. So it's like, what are you guys doing? Hit him.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, it's like
you can get out of this situation.
There's 3 of them. They could absolutely like take care of this situation.
Right. You guys have the advantage in this situation, even without a gun.
So I guess at the police...
Oh, before we move on, I also want to point out that, like, with the brothers, they're they're not really distinct characters from one another.
No, they're kind of just the same person. They're kind of
just the same person. And the film tries to play with, near the end, the film plays with them kind of having a close relationship. Because they don't really get a lot of time to interact much with each other, nor do they get any real character development. It kind of just ends up ringing hollow.
I do agree. I agree. It's really hard to figure out who is who. Like, just not... Like, it's obvious you can tell who is who, but, like, you can't, like, on a personality level, truly grasp who is who in
Right. Yeah, no. And compared to, like, some other movies I've seen recently, like, have you heard of the movie Sinners?
Yes.
That just came out?
The Ryan Coogler film with Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, with Michael B. Jordan. Yeah, so, like, in that film, Michael B. Jordan plays, like, 2 characters who are twin brothers. But what makes that work is that there is they get a lot of time to interact with each other, and you see how they approach certain conflicts very differently from one another. But also you see that in their interactions with other characters. Every interaction with them really kind of highlights their differences. Whereas here it feels like Ken and Vic are the same character but in different colored outfits.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really easy to get their names confused because they're just so much alike. Like, they just kind of both show up, they do their fist fighting, and then they go back. And one of them
don't learn Vic's name until, like, near the end.
Right.
Either.
It's kind of unbearable. And speaking of unbearable, after this, we start to get more of the laser stuff.
Yeah.
In a very overexposed police department, like, they definitely have this whole sequence overexposed. But we get introduced to the actual villain. Is he the villain? He doesn't look like the villain.
Isn't this just another one of the Kaijin?
Maybe.
Or cyborgs?
But also, so he blows up he blows up the reporter, which is funny.
Yeah, and then he captures the brother.
Yeah.
Vic releases the brother, and then the brother is immediately recaptured.
Yeah. Also, this creature, like, can transport itself. Like, it can just disappear.
Yeah,
and
it can, like, teleport around.
Yeah. It's kind of obnoxious. Like, this fight goes on, I think, a little too long. and then it just turns into a beam battle. And this is where the film really just does become just beam battles.
Yeah.
Actually, I just realized something. Do you think the sword is a reference to Metal Heroes?
I mean, I was thinking more like a Sentai hero, but it could also it could be that as well. Yeah.
Also, the dialogue of like, Ken, no! Like, there's some really unbearable lines of dialogue in this movie. Like, you want to talk about basic screenwriting 101? This film is basic screenwriting 101, but failed the class.
Brutal.
Am I wrong?
That's brutal.
The only thing this film is missing is, what is this place? Wait, no, I think they do say that, don't they? They do. At the very end, when he gets transported for no reason, he says, "What is this place?" It is. It is screenwriting 101, but failed. This movie's great if you're drunk. I guarantee you it is.
It's certainly better than Zillafoot.
I do agree.
It didn't make me want to kill myself.
Yeah. So before we dive into that, because that is definitely a topic that we're going to talk about. By the way, by this point in the film, we're a little over halfway into the rest of the movie. Like we said, it's a brisk 61 minutes. It does overstay its welcome, I think, a little bit.
I think this would have worked better as a 40 minute short.
I agree. I think the biggest problem for me at this point, so fair warning, I watched this film twice. And the first time, like, I was doing my research while watching it because I just could not get interested in watching the movie. And a lot of that comes down, and honestly, I think it comes down to the sound of this movie. Like, the music is not coherent, which of course it's licensed, I get it, but it's not coherent. It's like I had to turn my volume up and down to not get annoyed with how loud or quiet stuff would be. I struggled to hear voices sometimes. The music was louder than everything else sometimes. The poor ADR, the random sound effects that are thrown in at points. It's a very boring movie. And also, just in general, there's a lot of like random awkward moments of silence. And it's like, okay, this is where you put some sort of like ambient music in the background or something. But we don't get that. We don't get any of that.
Yeah. I mean, I think like most of this beginning bit is fine. It's mainly just when it gets really stock footage heavy or VFX heavy that it loses me.
Really?
Yeah, when it's like the stock footage at the beginning was kind of a bit 6 minutes of this, and then like near the end where it's like the big space battle that's all like a bunch of like just stock assets composited together. I was like, at a certain point, I'm just like, stuff is happening. It's just visual noise by the end. Yeah. During that climax,
it reminds me of
it's like stuff is happening. I see it happening.
It's a thing.
I'm not. Yeah. I preferred the action when it was just Vic in his rider outfit punching the Wolfman, compared to the big kaiju space battle Gundam transformer
You're jumping
thing.
in way more. You're jumping in to a point we're not there yet. We're at biotech, and one of the brothers is handcuffed, and he's getting questioned and told to bring everything and get slapped in the face.
Fun.
There's some really bad line dialogue here as well during all of this. But they do bring up that another cyborg's on the way.
Yeah. Following day, Vic shows up at Biocorp's front door.
And he gets bombarded with a plethora of biotech men.
Yeah, before they threaten his brother with a shotgun.
Yeah. And then it gets into another. Well, I guess they use the sword, but it gets very VFX heavy towards the end of it, which is really obnoxious. But the other brothers that doesn't have the sword is being more physical, which is nice.
Yeah.
But once everybody's
I
defeated...
will say it does bug me that they use the shotgun as a laser gun.
Yeah, that is obnoxious. I agree.
Just use it as a shotgun, please.
So, you brought up the Wolfman and how you wanted something like that again. And after this whole fight outside of the biotech building, we do get the introduction of the last Kaijin in the film.
Yeah, the crow.
The Crow Man. But, okay, first of all, it definitely reminded me of a Kappa a little bit. I know that's not intentional. Just, it reminded me of a Kappa. But that being said, this fight is both, I think, like, it's very claustrophobic. I think that's really cool. I think this does the best job at, like, keeping it in close quarters. That being said, I'm not a huge fan of how this is the most beam heavy effect fight in any of the fights, like, before they go to space.
I don't think it's too bad because it's relatively short, but what I don't like is the sound effect they use for the crow with the screaming noise.
Oh yeah.
It's a meme sound that, yeah, why are we using a porn screen in our movie?
I don't know. That's a great point. So, out of curiosity...
It also just doesn't fit 90% of the time it's used. Like, it's used when the crow's, like, shooting beams, and then when it gets hit. Like, when it gets hit and it's screaming in pain, sure. But when he's shooting the beam and, like, it's really quiet, it's just really out of place.
Mm-hmm. So, out of curiosity, we have the whole venture to, like, get to BioCorp, right? And as soon, and like our main character is going through all the villains. And once he gets there and he gets to the main character, he gets transported, right? Is that where it really does feel like Cutie Honey? Like, that reminds me of when Cutie's like going up the giant thing in Tokyo and then gets...
Oh, when I was referencing Cutie Honey, I was more like talking about just a couple of the aesthetics of like the goons.
Fair enough.
Some of them just resemble Panther Claw closer than they do like Shocker.
Fair enough. That being said,
Guyver, I genuinely do get a Guyver feel from like the plot and like the general goals of the villains here. I get more of a Guyver vibe than necessarily strictly Kamen Rider from that.
Right. So I brought up that we get transported, but oh my god, does this just happen out of nowhere?
Yeah.
And this is where I have another problem. So for me, the film felt very like mid-2000s up until this point. But the moment we get transferred into space, we are suddenly all retro 80s. Like, the music's retro, the looks are retro, everything's retro. And
I would say it gives more like early 2010s YouTube video.
Sure.
In the actual aesthetic and editing of it.
And I guess basically the rest of this film is just our space fighter on a green screen walking through space with, like you said, composited stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
At some points, the film looks at this point like a side-scroller video game.
Yeah.
The aliens come back. Well, I guess these are all aliens. Also, the space fighter gets a specium beam.
Yeah. Yeah, he just starts posing like Ultraman.
The alien leader turns out to have like a skull face. He's like Skeletor. A bunch of explosions happen. There's like a handful of dragon monsters and random monsters. Kaiju.
There's Kaiju.
They're all like animated. Like, everything turns into an animated sequence. There's like...
Well, the thing is that it's all like stock animations too.
Yeah. Robotech appears in it, basically.
That's Macross, right? I think
so.
I don't know
my
anything
anime.
about that franchise.
It just looks like it. There are scenes where like Space Fighter has like this funny outline in this weird background, and he's just kind of like making like poses, very like Power Rangers or Super Sentai-esque.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like a full-on like 5 to 7 minute sequence.
It's like a 10-minute sequence. It's not 5. It's like 10.
Is it 10? Yeah, I guess so, because it starts off at around the 47-minute mark, and it goes on until about 55. So
yeah, so about 8 minutes.
8 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a lot of noise, like you said. It's I'm not a fan of it. I know it's the big like climax, but it doesn't feel really climaxy because it's all just kind of stuff being thrown at you.
Yeah, and I have no real sense of what's really going on by this point.
Right, and it's like, okay, so what about the twin brother? What about like why are we in space? What about biotech? Like, what about the whole aliens thing from the beginning? Like, what's the point in that? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand what I'm looking at. Somebody
also with all like the kaiju and the mecha and whatnot, they're all just very. I think it's because they're like low res assets. I guess they're all like very small and usually just contained to like the bottom of the frame.
Yeah, there is no sense of scale here, none.
No, not in the slightest.
And then we cut to more stock footage, and we're back in Chicago, and everything's fine. The brothers are watching a video. Or watching TV.
Yeah, before the Earth is attacked by, what was it, the people of Atlantis?
They see...
Which is a bunch of frogs.
They see... Why'd you say it like that?
It's true, it's a bunch of frogs.
So there's more spaceships invading too, like that's on the TV. And then, yes, an underwater city. By the way, this is in Chicago. It's very clearly Chicago. And they're saying Atlantis appears, I guess, in the Michigan River. Or Lake Michigan.
Maybe it's just a global attack, you know?
And there's frogs. There's frogs, guys. Or it's just one frog. Who knows? And then
this is why you shouldn't tell the frog scare.
and then our space fighter henshins, and that's it. That's the movie. We get the credits with more stock footage.
Yippee!
Oh boy! So this film is co-directed.
Yes,
it's co-directed by Matthew Arnashus and Michael Arnashus.
Please forgive our horrible pronunciation.
Yeah, it's bad. So, do you want me to do the cast and crew real quick? It won't take very long, and then we can.
Go right ahead.
So Matthew also plays Vic Ryder. He was also in Zebraman Jack, which is definitely Toku inspired. Perry Chong played the executive's assistant. William Dunn is the police officer. He's the dude who wears the white button up with the police badge around his. Justin Frost plays the Biocorp executive. Hubert Gao plays Professor Suruki. Stephen Hermes plays Mason Storm. That's the interview. That's the guy who does. He's the reporter. And then you have Michael Jean, also known as Michael Stryker, who plays Ken Ryder, and then Alden Williams, who plays.
Isn't that actually just Michael
Arnashus? Yeah.
Arnashus? Yeah.
Yes. And then you have Alden Williams, who plays the cyborg commander, who is also in Cyberman Jack. So Matthew Arnashus is the writer, director, and effects director. We're into our crew now. And Michael Arnashus is also the director for this film. And then Michael Stryker and Matthew Stryker is the producers. And this is where it's funky, because Matthew Stryker and Matthew Stryker or Matthew Arnashis and Michael Arnashis. They're twin brothers.
Right.
They have multiple names.
Right, and some films they also use like the Valentine as their last name as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you look at least some of the like cast lists on some of their other movies, they use the names of Ken and Vic for the characters they play in some of their other movies.
Yes. So maybe it's just a connected universe. Maybe it's the Ken and Vic show.
Maybe.
Now, before we go into our final thoughts, I do have a couple more pieces of info here. So Matthew is also a freelance editor. Oh boy. This is from 2022. There's time for growth. You know, we're all growing and we're all becoming better artists. He has his own website. He does freelance work as director, producer, and actor. Now, the important thing about the Space Fighter, and I've been kind of an a-hole this whole recording, but this was produced after Matthew graduated the Columbia College of Chicago. He went to learn voice acting and video production, and he utilizes both of those here in his first feature-length film. And if you're okay with it, I'm going to kind of transition here into my final thoughts, and then we'll jump to you, and then we'll get out of here. Go ahead. So this film is quite literally like 4 years of work for Matthew turned into a feature-length film. This is his first feature-length film. Everything prior to this was a short film. So he had, I think, 2 productions after he graduated. He had one production immediately as he was graduating college, and then I think one more short film, and then he did this. And then he did short films in college and before college. And so what you're seeing here is the culmination of like this hard work in his first attempt at a feature film. And for anybody who isn't a filmmaker and who doesn't understand, full-length feature films are hard. For context, Edokami no Gyakushu is a 6-minute short film I made. I put in $1,500 and it's 6 minutes, and it took me 3 weeks. Like, I don't know the production time on the Space Fighter. That's something I'd love to learn. But the fact that they went and made a 61-minute, almost 62-minute movie, pretty good, you know? And there are redeeming factors about this movie. It is not hot dog water. If I had to compare it, I honestly feel like the Space Fighter is an American modern remake of the Super Inframan, but it just doesn't have the same charm. I think, in all honesty, I think that's probably like both of them rip off in air quotes, Kamen Rider and Ultraman. Both have stock music, both use stock effects, both are heavy with fighting and the insanity.
Inframan has that Shaw Brothers charm.
Exactly.
That I think gives it that advantage.
Exactly.
And obviously a bigger budget.
But I think those two are good comparisons. You know, this is the underground American low budget Inframan. And I definitely see where people would like this movie. But for me, the Space Fighter is a mess. You know, the opening of the film is not only full of stock footage, but I do genuinely think it was thrown in after the film was finished to make it a full-length film. The actors, for the most part, fall really flat, and their characters are very one-dimensional. It's hard to really follow any of these characters or even really be engaged with them. The music is very clearly stock music, and it changes its thematic, like, cohesiveness throughout. At some points, it feels, I think, really 2000s, and then by the end, I think it feels really 80s with its sound. The sudden changes just kind of throw me off. I think, you know, it is a first time, you know, full-length feature film. It's a first time, you know, almost a first time filmmaker. So the film is riddled with production errors. I brought up the handheld shots, the color grading and color correction. awkward moments of silence. I think those are all just obvious growing pains that filmmakers go through. And I think that's something that as time goes on, that won't be an issue. This movie by no means is the worst film we've covered. By no means. I think Stacy and Zillafoot are like way automatically way worse. But it does make sense that Zillafoot was recommended under this movie for me on Tubi. Like, I totally get it. Both are underground films. Both are tokusatsu inspired. I think this film, even though it is 61 minutes, it's not very long. I do think it has a lot of boring aspects to it, and it doesn't keep me engaged for long. I get bored really quick, really easily by it. And so it's one of those things where I see where the filmmakers' hearts were at, and I see where they wanted to go. And I think for some aspects, the fact they were as confident as they were speaks volumes to their work, but that's not going to save them in this circumstance, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's a very, very ambitious film, and like I said, it is very completely uncompromised in that vision. But I almost feel like that is the biggest detriment to this film is that uncompromising, really grand, really ambitious vision that unfortunately, like, you can only do so much with a budget of, if it's $1,500 or whatever it is, like, you can really only do so much with that.
Right.
And yeah, I feel like it really would have just been better suited to a 20 to 40 minute short film that, you know, that plays kind of like a TV episode of Kamen Rider, playing kind of, giving a little bit, just enough of that backstory, just a little bit, just generally establishing the villains enough and giving you an idea of this world, and kind of just making it so you almost want more, rather than just telling this fully complete blockbuster story.
Yeah.
But again, it really for what it is, as much as it definitely has shortcomings, as you said, it really is not the worst we've covered. Like, I would put this on over something like Zillafoot or Stacy any day of the week. So yeah, all things considered, it really isn't too bad, and genuinely the action sometimes genuinely not bad at all. There's a lot of potential with this stuff.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. And to the last thing I'm going to say, and Rex, I'll leave this to you to go from this, whether we're transitioning out or being done. I do genuinely want Matthew on, if you are listening. I would love, I know, oh my God, Elijah just trashed my movie. But I want to know the story behind this, because I guarantee you the story behind this film makes it way better. Whether that's the production time or the problems in post or whatever the case may be, like budgetary constraints, COVID, this film was produced around the time that COVID restrictions were still things. So how did that impact the film? All of those things I'd love to hear. I'd love to find out more. And if this is the last time we cover the Space Fighter, then I guess it is. But if not, I hope the next time we do cover this, it is an interview. And we're covering more of why the film is the way it is. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, it'd be fun. But yeah, outside of that, I feel like I've hit all my notes pretty much. Yeah,
well, Rex,
looks like it.
I do have one last thing I could say.
And what's that, my friend?
Hello, I'm Elijah, and I have a kaiju and tokusatsu problem. Joking aside, I am Elijah Thomas. I'm a writer. I've written for GodzillaMovies.com and in Kaiju Magazine and Kaiju United, of which I'm the chief innovative officer for. My writing has also been featured in the book Giant Bug Cinema, a Monster Kid's Guide from Bear Manor Media, where I wrote about Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. I've also been given the privilege to work with my good friends at Giant Monster BS on their second season as a creative consultant, covering independent kaiju films. Outside of writing and podcasting, I also served as a creative consultant on the Titanic Creations officially licensed Yongari articulated figure. You can go to titanicreations.com/Yongari to order yours today. I have also had the privilege to work with SRS Cinema on various Blu-rays. I have worked on Yuzo, The Biggest Battle in Tokyo, Liverleaf, War of the Ninja Monsters, Jiron vs. Gora, Hoshi 35, and a long list of titles coming soon or already announced. You can order these Blu-rays on srscinema.com. I'm also a filmmaker and YouTuber. You can check out my stuff on my YouTube channel, ET13 Productions, where you can see some of my short films, my old YouTube videos, along with an ever-growing playlist that features all of my appearances on YouTube. I do plan on eventually getting out new videos soon, so definitely check that out. You can also check out my action figure photography on my Instagram at ET13_productions and my ex, the artist formerly known as Twitter, thanks Danny, at the same handle. Now, Rex, where can people find you at?
Well, dear listeners, you can find me on YouTube at Rexino, on Twitter at Rex_Xeno, at Rex_Xenomorph, and on Instagram, Rex_Xeno.
And as for the podcast, don't forget to rate us on iTunes. That boosts our ratings and helps us get recommended to more people just like you. If you don't have an Apple device, which I don't blame you, I don't, that's a lie. I'm reading this off a MacBook right now. But you can rate us on Spotify now. To stay up to date with all things Kaiju Conversation related, head over to www.kaijuconversation.com to find our episodes, social media, news, and updates. Follow us on Twitter at KAIJU_CONVERS. If you don't have Twitter, you can follow us on Instagram or like us on Facebook. If you're like me before podcasting and you don't have any social media, lucky you. You can email us at kaijuconversation@gmail.com, all lowercase, all one word, you know the drill. And as always, we'll read your reviews on air for everyone to hear. We also have a Teespring store. Eventually we'll have original artwork on there, but until then you can sport our awesome logo on a t-shirt or maybe even a coffee mug. If you'd like to chat with us, check out our Discord server full of others that have similar interests to you. Recently, on our General One group chat, we had a discussion about Netflix's 3D animated film, The Sea Beast. It's a great community full of great people. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you can be notified anytime we upload a video. We sometimes post exclusives to the channel like bloopers for episodes or minisodes talking about news or other subjects. And a huge thanks to Rex for editing all of these episodes and the other content we upload. His links can be found in the description below. Along with Rex, we'd like to give a huge thanks and shout out to Danny DeManna of the Godzilla Novelization Project for his amazing vocals on our theme song. You can support him by following him on Twitter at Danzilla93_GNP or visit his website, GodzillaNovelizationProject.com. And a huge thanks to Gratton Conwell from the podcast Giant Monster BS for composing the music for our theme song. You can support him by following the podcast on Twitter at Giant Monster BS or on any podcast platform under the name Giant Monster BS. And with that, we're going to wrap things up here. So thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you, Matthew, to sending us this recommendation. I hope we didn't offend you too terribly much. Rex, it has been a joy and a delight as always. I love doing this stuff with you. Thank you, my friend. And as always, please remember, life's too short to not talk big. Bye, guys.
Bye.
We are set, we are in debt, there's nothing to sweat. Life's too short now, baby. Kaiju, not too big now, baby. Conversation. His name's Elijah, baby. And also Rex now, baby. We love those kaiju, baby. And you will too now, baby.